Okay, so today we're going to work on a new standard and it's a little confusing. So I'm going to write our objective really simple here, and I want you to make sure that you get it copied down as well. So your objective for today is simple. You're going to use what you've learned already for solving two-step equations, and you're going to solve two-step word problem equations. So I will solve two-step word problems. So you're going to have to write an equation from a word problems and then solve it. You're going to solve two-step word problem equations, okay? You're going to take a word problem, rewrite the equation, and then solve. It's that simple. This is kind of confusing, so your simple objective is I will solve two-step word problem. Oh, I guess I should have written word problem equation, huh? Oopsie. Sorry about that. Two-step word problem equations. Okay, push pause, write this down, and then push play to get going. We're going to head on now to our first actual problem. And this is an I do, okay? So right now I want you to really just sit down, put your pencil down, and watch. When I'm finished with this, I want you guys to go ahead and pause the video and copy down my work. And the next one will be a we do, but for now, I just want you to watch. So I'm going to read my word problem. It says 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were in each bus? All right, so you're going to have similar problems to this on your worksheet tomorrow. So I want you to really pay attention. What I'm going to do is I'm going to circle any values. Okay, 6 is a value. I'm going to underline the question. It says how many students were in each bus. So the bus is what's important, right? It says 331 students in total, right, went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled. So 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. So we're going to say that the number of students so we're trying to find how many students. Okay, so my variable is going to be S for students. Okay, what do I know? I know that 331 students went on the field trip. I know that 7 students were in cars. And I know that there were 6 buses. Oops, I don't want 6 buses. So 6 times how many students plus 7 students that went in cars is going to equal 331. That's how I write up this word problem. I take what's important and I create an equation. So this is a two-step equation. First, I want to isolate or remove anything that is not associated with my variable S for students. And I'm going to do the inverse operation. So the inverse of plus 7 is minus 7. We're going to go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. This leaves me with 6x on the left. And 331 minus 7, I'm going to have to borrow from this 3 here and bring down 324. And now I have 6 times S. That's what this tells me, right? 6 times how many students. So we're going to figure out how many students were in each bus by dividing by 6. This becomes 1. So S is going to equal the quotient of this division problem. Well, I can't do this on my head, so I'm going to go ahead and write it up like a long division problem. And a lot of you guys still really struggle with long division, so watch me carefully. Okay, I'm going to take my 6 and I'm going to see, does it fit in 3? Can I divide 3 by 6? I can't. It's too small. So I'm going to look at my next number over, and now it becomes 32. Does 6 times something go into 32? And I'm thinking, or I'm looking at my multiplication chart, and I know that 6 times 5 is going to be 32. But since I'm not dividing the 3, I'm at the 2. I'm going to put my 5 above the 2. I could put a 0 here, and if I was using decimals, I would definitely put a 0 there as a placeholder. But since I'm not involving decimals here, I'm just going to go ahead and put my 5 over my 2. 6 times 5 is 30, and I'm going to go ahead and subtract. This gives me 2, and then I bring down my 4, right? This is a 0. So now 6 times what is 24? I know 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, and 6 times 4 is 24. So 6 times 4 is 24. I subtract it, and I get a 0 remainder, so I know S is equal to 54. But I'm not done yet. Okay, because this is a word problem. So my answer needs to be in the form of words. So I can say there were 54 students in each bus. Right? Go ahead and push pause, copy this down, and then when you come back, we'll go on to the next slide. All right, next slide. Now this is the we do. So we're going to do this together. So let's first read this word problem. It says Aaliyah had $24 to spend on 7 pencils. After buying them, she had $10. How much did each pencil cost? So we're going to say that she started with $24 to spend. She spent it on 7 pencils. And then after she bought them, she had $10 left. How much did each pencil cost? So we're just going to write it the way we see it, okay? My question is, how much did each pencil cost? And after buying is important, so this tells me that we're going to subtract something, right? So we know that she started with $24, right? We know that she bought 7 pencils. And after she made that purchase, she only had $10 left, right? So this is a subtraction problem because it's after she spent something, this is what she had left. So all I did was take this information and write it down as we saw it. And now we have a simple 2-step equation. Are you with me? I have to remove this 24 because this 7 is attached to the P, so I have to remove this 24. There's no negative sign in front of it, so that tells me that 24 is positive. So to remove it, I have to do the opposite by subtracting 24 from both sides. This eliminates or becomes 0, and I'm not going to bring it down. I need to make sure that I don't forget to bring down this negative sign. It becomes negative 7p is equal to the difference of here. So I have a positive and negative, so just to be safe, I'm going to use my column method. 10 is positive, 24 is negative. 10 is smaller than 24, so I'm going to subtract it from 24. And that gives me 14. on the negative side, so my answer is negative 14. So now I can do my second step here, and I have to undo this multiplication by dividing both sides by the number in front of my variable, which is a negative 7. A negative divided by a negative becomes a positive Juan, right? But Juan is shy, so we're just going to let him hide. P is equal to, again, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 14 divided by 7. 7 times 2 is 14, so my answer is positive 2. Now remember, it says, how much did each pencil cost? That's my question. So I need to answer it in word form. So I can say that each pencil cost $2. Those are some expensive pencils. Maybe it's a fancy mechanical pencil. All right, so make sure you have this, make sure you have this copied down before you move on to the next slide. So if you need to pause, push pause, and when you're ready, push play, and we'll continue on the next slide. All right, here we go. Last one. You do. You do. So I'm going to help you out by reading it with you first. It says you bought a magazine for $5 and 4 erasers. You spent a total of $25. How much did each eraser cost? So I want you to circle the values. And remember, if it's in words and it's a number, you want to circle it. Underline the question. We're going to start with just those two things. Circle the values and underline the question. Tomorrow, we will check back and confirm your answers. Got it? I'll see you in class.